Ahoy there, mateys! Hi. How is everyone? I can't hear you, so I'm assuming good. Anyways, Monster Jam. The 2024 season draws to a close in just a few short weeks, and I just want to do a short retrospective on it. This is the Cheap Ass Podcast, episode 3. Monster Jam's 2024 season was one of the strangest I've ever seen. Okay, that's the end of the scripted portion. I just wanted a scripted intro. Rest is going to be unscripted. I just got footnotes here. Injuries. Tom Mentz's career-ending injury, for one, which is sad. That's one of the bads. We have a lot of good and bad this year. Along with Jamie Sullivan being out for a few weeks from her injury. There were a few others, but I can't remember off the top of my head. When I say this is a cheap-ass podcast, I mean it. Along with that, we have driver fill-ins like crazy. So many I can't even list them all, but you got like Matt Cody filling in for Brandon Vincent, which comes down the line actually in this podcast later on, and just so many more. You had Joe Dennis filling in for Jamie Sullivan. Then he had that wreck, and then what was it, Chelsea Van Cleef filled in for him for the rest of the weekend, and that's not even scratching the surface. You had all the drivers for Max D. You had just the constant rotating schedule from drivers being out from the international to the main series. It was insane. Tracks were actually pretty interesting this year. They tried out some new stuff. They had that. Since it debuted in Houston, I'm gonna call it Houston style. Which I thought was very fun, and then their regular, it's not exactly Chicago style, I don't remember the term for it, but they added those, the landing ramps, but those seem to have disappeared for the most part, sadly, so I don't know if that's going to come back. But the tracks were not that bad this year. I mean, I've seen worse. Of course, we still have the arena pods. You know my feelings on those. I do not like them. I think they work in some small arenas, but once you get larger, I think they should be doing like a small Chicago style, or even just some straight lines sometimes. Just old school. I know. Everyone says it's boring now, but I like it. There are a lot of fans that do. We've had very, very aggressive competition this year. Drivers have been putting it all on the line this year. I have seen so many drivers trying out new stuff, pushing to the limits. It's been very good. And if you're wondering why I'm doing this fast, my phone does not have a lot of storage, so these podcasts are like 10 minutes at most. And there's a lot to go through, so this is really footnotes. If you want, there are better YouTubers than me if you really want to go to them. I'm sorry. That's about all I can do. Moving on into Brandon's retirement. Yeah, that was a surprise. Brandon Vincent retired mid-season and had Matt Cody fill in for the rest, which actually leads to another story we're going to get into near the end of the video. You probably already know because it just happened like a day ago. But that's our next. I don't think I've ever heard of a driver retiring during a points series before that wasn't caused by an injury or anything. It was just he decided, I guess, to pursue his own things, the stuff he needed to get done in his life. I can't remember. It might be. I think, does he own a construction company? Does he work construction? Something like that. I remember it's something like a regular job that's not in front of millions of people. But yeah, that's wish the best of luck to him though, because we all know how rough the world is right now, and he seems to be doing fine. So hopefully it stays that way. Okay, moving on to our next point: live streams. Yes, thank the Lord. We have finally been blessed with live streams of a good majority of the shows. Not majority, but a lot of them, like enough that I can keep up with the whole weekend and be satisfied. And they're getting all the big shows in there. I will mention something about the live streams that I hope happens and I think the next thing I'm going to be talking about here. But we have been waiting for this for years. I, as a monster truck racing fan, since I was a little kid, 20 years at this point, have been waiting for this for a long time. Because we always had the coverage that would come out months later, chopped up, for TV, all that stuff. And then you went to YouTube to try to find full events there quicker, which was great for a while, but I still was just tired of having to wait through, uploads and uploads and have to avoid spoilers the whole time. So I'd have to block out social media, which I guess isn't the worst thing for you, but still, it was not very fun. Now it's all live, And by the way, I have to put a little disclaimer in here. Just because they're live, go to the shows when you can, please. I want this to work, and if they start seeing dwindling audiences, they're going to cut it. Go to the shows live if you can. Anytime you can, anyone near you that you have the money for, go to them. Please. I don't want this to become a failure. Okay. Moving on, the points are actually going down to the wire this year, which, excluding stuff like 2015's FS1 series, not very common for a sport like this. When it's just points added each weekend, pretty fairly. Actually, Slapshoes he's a NASCAR YouTuber, goes into a little bit about how points like this work, one of his videos. So a lot of times it's pretty drawn out at the end, but no, I'll go through the one I don't think is going to change first. Tyler Meninga and Tristan England battling for first. I think Tyler's going to win pretty, even though it's close, it's pretty, still a wide margin with only 2 shows left. I don't think Tristan's going to be able to climb his way back up there, but we'll see. And here's the one that has really grabbed my attention. Armando Castro just took the lead over Christian Anderson this weekend with 4 shows left next week. And apparently Salinas, is that how you pronounce it? California is a non-points event from what I've heard. So that's 4 shows left with a 10-point difference where the leader just got changed. I really hope that they live stream Colorado Springs next week where they are, because I want to see this in person. I think they will if it's their season finale, and I think they're the only arena series that hasn't gotten a champion crown yet. I really hope they do, because I want to see this draw out really well. World Finals track looks really good. It's an S course this year. Some people have been kind of asking, how are they going to do skills and high jump? Honestly, because I don't really, I only really focus on racing and freestyle anyway with the World Finals. I do not care. I think this will work well for racing and freestyle. Think Monsters on the Beach racing and freestyle. I'm sure they'll find a way to do high jump and skills with it. They will. It's pretty obvious, but I only see those as secondary world championships. I focus mostly on racing and freestyle. That's the old school fan in me. But we're getting close to the end here. Like I said, short podcasts. But I wanted to mention about Matt Cody and Dalton Widener. So Matt Cody is your champion for Arena Series West, but because Brandon Vincent was the main driver for about half the season, he decided to give the bid to the World Finals over to Dalton Widener, which I think is an awesome move. He knew that Dalton worked his tail off the whole season, and he knew that he deserved it. Matt, if you don't know, was also on internationals for part of the season, but things got switched up when Brandon retired and they needed a fill-in, so they got Matt Cody for Gravedigger on West. And I'm glad that he was able to do that. I hope they keep that and allow it. I hope that goes through, because I think that'd be great. And it'll be great to see Dalton Widener in the World Finals also. That is the end of the podcast. The invitation has ended. You are now considered a home invader, and if you don't leave my house, I have the constitutional right to